I'm debating if I'm going to give this movie, I know I give it at least a 9.5. 10 is a maybe. The first movie gets a 10. The original movie gets a 10. And this one gets a 9.5 or 10. I'm actually debating which one I enjoyed more between the original and the remake. I mean, that's a tough one. I will say that the remake to me was a little bit more brutal. It was a little bit, well, the first one was pretty bloody too, but this blood here looked more real because, I mean, the first one was back in the 80s and things looked a little bit more cheesy back then. But this one right here, I mean, I don't know. It was crazy to say the least. And I'll say it. I think all the real Nightmare on Elm Street fans had already seen this movie. But to those of you who are fans of other film series, and if you happen to not seen this one, check it out. It's available to watch on, okay, so it's not on any of the major streaming right now. I think it was either on Tubi or Max not too long ago, but I think they took it off because, you know, we're past Halloween season. You can rent the movie on... You can buy or rent the movie on Amazon Prime, YouTube, which obviously that's where I bought it at, Apple TV, Vudu, or Google Play Movies and TV. Now, the ratings on this movie were a lot lower compared to most of the other Freddy films. Rotten Tomatoes, 14. Okay. Metacritic gave it 35. Internet Movie Database gave it 52. And Google users on average gave it 60 to 69. Now, I think they had a good cast here. Jackie Earle Haley, he played Freddy in this movie. And then, of course, you have 6 main cast members. Cassidy played Chris. Kyle Gallner played Quentin. Rooney Mara played Nancy. Connie Britton played Nancy's mother, Gwen. Thomas Dekker played Jesse, and Kellan Lutz played Dean. And you have Clancy Brown, who played Alan Smith. So, here's how Google breaks it down. And then also the budget. So this movie came out in 2010. The budget was $35 million. The box office was just over $117 million. I think that's pretty all right for a remake. For a remake horror film. That's actually pretty good remake horror film. They do over 3 times their budget. So, okay, good for them on that one. Good to them. Teenagers Nancy, Quentin, Chris, Jesse, and Dean are all neighborhood friends who begin having the same dream of a horribly disfigured man who wears a tattered sweater and a glove made of knives. The man, Freddy Krueger, terrorized them in their dreams, and the only escape is to wake up. But when one of their number dies violently, the friends realize what happens in the dream world is real, and the only way to stay alive is to stay awake. Now let's get to how Common Sense Media breaks it down. Here's the Common Sense Media version of the synopsis. On Elm Street, a teen tries to stay awake, apparently afraid of a scary man with knives for fingers who threatens to kill him in his dreams. He eventually succumbs and dies, leading the rest of his friends to fear for their lives. After more grisly deaths, Nancy and Quentin try to stay awake long enough to find out who Freddy is and what he wants. Their search leads to a terrifying truth and a mysterious past incident involving all their parents. But even armed with this knowledge, can they still defeat Freddy before their exhaustion catches up with them? I don't know. We'll see. Is it any good? I think it was great. The idea behind this horror series is still extremely effective. It brings terror to the one place where we should be safe: sleep. This new reboot follows the same structure and uses some of the same scary imagery from Wes Craven's 1984 classic original. It's competently made, and the characters and dialogue feel authentic enough. The digital special effects are more modern in a way that will appeal to today's teen viewers. The new movie differs mainly in the character of Freddy. As portrayed by Oscar-nominated Haley, he's less funny and more twisted and tormented, especially in his flashback origin sequences. But the suggestion of child molestation brings the movie right out of the fun realm. It's far more disturbing than entertaining. Though one saving grace is that the teens in this movie are generally good kids, not the sex-obsessed or mean teens that often find their way into horror films. Okay, yeah, so this movie was a little bit better in that particular respect compared to some of the teens in the original. Now, questions to be asked. Families can talk about the film's extreme gore and violence. Was it scary? How else did it affect you? What makes horror movies so popular and profitable? Was it scary? Yeah, especially watching it at night. This one had way more jump scenes compared to the original. So jump scene wise, this movie did a lot better than any of the Freddy movies, really. If I'm going only off the jump scenes alone, then yeah, I have to say this is the best Freddy film. What is the impact of seeing so many gruesome images in horror movies like that? Do you think you feel less empathy for someone getting hurt if you saw too many movies like this? Why is Freddy Krueger scary? What makes him different from other slashers like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers? Do you think movies like this condone real violence? As I told you, I don't think that people watching horror films leads them to wanting to go commit murders and stuff like that. What makes them different than Jason and Michael? Well, let's see. Freddy gets you in your dream while you're asleep. Jason Voorhees kills people at Crystal Lake. Michael Myers kills people in Haddonfield. Haddonfield is in... Shoot, what state is Haddonfield in? Is it Illinois? I think so. Haddonfield, Illinois, or New Jersey. I think so, yeah. The Freddy movies take place in Springwood, Ohio. And then Jason, Crystal Lake, somewhere down south. I'm just... My memory's not at top right now, so somebody comment and remind me of where this stuff takes place. So I think Freddy is different in that particular sense, but I've always asked people who love to watch Jason and Michael, but they can't stand Freddy because it's like, oh, it's too scary. He gets you in your dream. And I'm like, but what's the difference between Freddy killing you in your dream versus Jason killing you in the forest or by a lake and then Michael Myers killing you in a house? In any of those scenarios, somebody's dying. And people are just like, oh, well, at least if you're fighting Jason or Michael, it's easier to control the fight because you're there and you're awake and it's better. You can fight them better that way. Whereas Freddy, you may not wake up. Okay, in that particular sense, I can kind of understand it. And like I said, jump scenes, they do it in this movie. It looks a lot more realistic. It follows a lot of the same elements of the original film as far as they found out that he was a child molester, and he is a little bit, in that particular sense, yeah, he's creepier and worse than your average Jason Michael Ghostface. So I suggest rent the movie, like I said, on Vudu or Redbox or Amazon or YouTube or wherever. Check it out. As of right now, I can give this movie a 9.5. It comes close tie with the original, but I think it's worth it to all my horror fans. Like and subscribe.